like to talk about the development of human potential, and I'd like to start with maybe the most impactful modern story of development. Many of you here have probably heard of the 10,000 hours rule. Maybe you even model your own life after it. Basically, it's the idea that to become great in anything takes 10,000 hours of focused practice, so you'd better get started as early as possible. The poster child for this story is Tiger Woods. His father famously gave him a putter when he was 7 months old. At 10 months, he started imitating his father's swing. At 2, you can go on YouTube and see him on national television. Fast forward to the age of 21, he's the greatest golfer in the world. It's quintessential 10,000 hours story. Another that features in a number of best-selling books is that of the 3 Polgar sisters, whose father decided to teach them chess in a very technical manner from a very early age, and really he wanted to show that with a head start and focused practice, any child could become a genius in anything. And in fact, 2 of his daughters went on to become grandmaster chess players. So, when I became the science writer at Sports Illustrated magazine, I got curious. If this 10,000 hours rule is correct, then we should see that elite athletes get a head start in so-called deliberate practice. This is coached, error correction-focused practice, not just playing around. And in fact, when scientists study elite athletes, they see that they spend more time in deliberate practice, not a big surprise. But when they actually track athletes over the course of their development, the pattern looks like this. The future elites actually spend less time early on in deliberate practice in their eventual sport. They tend to have what scientists call a sampling period, where they try a variety of physical activities, they gain broad general skills, they learn about their interests and abilities, and delay specializing until later than peers who plateau at lower levels. And so when I saw that, I said, gosh, that doesn't really comport with the 10,000 hours rule, does it? So I started to wonder about other domains that we associate with obligatory early specialization, like music. Turns out the pattern's often similar. This is research from a world-class music academy, and what I want to draw your attention to is this. The exceptional musicians didn't start spending more time in...
It's been a journey from ashes to astonishing. Prices higher than a kite, highway robbery. I interrupt the game, my bad, pardon me. Life can pack a punch, expose your chin and you get rocked to sleep. They get creative, they try everything, not stopping me. More than our favorite rappers, they raise the price of property. More likely see a sale than a tour of all the colleges. I'm a vet in the game like Aaron Rodgers is. I gave my all when I didn't have an audience. They showed their hands, so I had to act accordingly. Make a change, cause I conduct this for the lit. I write raps, but it hit you more like poetry. Lean up on aisle 1, grab a mop in the bucket. We can call it progression, cause we started out with nothing. I remember hungry nights, went to sleep with turning stomachs. I thank God it was over in the morning, it's deep. Man, it's deep.
Time in deliberate practice than the average musicians until their 3rd instrument. They too tended to have a sampling period. Even musicians we think of as famously precocious, like Yo-Yo Ma.
Clean up on aisle 1, grab a mop in the bucket. We can call it progression, cause we started out with nothing. I remember hungry nights, went to sleep with turning stomach. I thank God it was over in the morning, it's deep. Oh man, it's deep.
He had a sampling period, he just went through it more rapidly than most musicians do. Nonetheless, this research is almost entirely ignored, and much more impactful is the first page of the book Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, where the author recounts assigning her daughter violin. Nobody seems to remember the part later in the book where her daughter turns to her and says, "You picked it, not me," and largely quits. So having seen this sort of surprising pattern in sports and music, I started to wonder about domains that affect even more people, like education. An economist found a natural experiment in the higher ed systems of England and Scotland. In the period he's...
Like the 4th of July, life come with fireworks. And if you not careful, it'll hit you where it hurt. They might have a bigger name, we the ones that did it first. If you want the reward, gotta put in the work. I took over the game, man, that's for what it's worth. They went inside the room, cause it come with all the perks. When the bell rang, me and my crew dispersed. I'm right at home like a deacon at the church. Depending on who you ask, it's a gift and a curse. And the fact I'm pushing peace, man, that only made it worse. The game's still the same, I just switched my approach. different from the rest, and it's been that way since birth, cause I'm here. They thought it was too late till I showed up on the scene, selling bottles of hope, get them buy one, get one free, like a bird in the sky. I'm just trying to find peace. You could be anywhere, but you rockin' to the beat. Let's go, man, let's go.
Studied, the systems were very similar, except in England, students had to specialize in their mid-teen years to pick a specific course of study to apply to, whereas in Scotland, they could keep trying.
They thought it was too late till I showed up on the scene, selling bottles of hope, get them buy one, get one free, like a bird in the sky. I'm just trying to find peace. You could be anywhere, but you rockin' to the beat. Let's go, oh man, let's go.
Things in university if they wanted to, and his question was, who wins the trade-off, the early or the late specializers? And what he saw was that the early specializers jump out to an income lead because they have more domain-specific skills. The late specializers get to try more different things, and when they do pick, they have better fit, or what economists call match quality. And so their growth rates are faster. By 6 years out, they erase that income gap. Meanwhile, the early specializers start quitting their career tracks in much higher numbers, essentially because they were made to choose so early that they more often made poor choices. So the late specializers lose in the short term and win in the long run. And I think if we thought about career choice like dating, we might not pressure people to settle down quite so quickly. So this got me interested, seeing this pattern again, in exploring the developmental backgrounds of people whose work I had long admired. Like Duke Ellington, who shunned music lessons as a kid to focus on baseball and painting and drawing. Or Maryam Mirzakhani, who wasn't interested in math as a girl, dreamed of becoming a novelist, and went on to become the first and so far only woman to win the Fields Medal, the most prestigious prize in the world in math. Vincent van Gogh had 5 different careers, each of which he deemed his true calling, before flaming out spectacularly, and in his late 20s picked up a book called The Guide to the ABCs of Drawing. That worked out okay. Claude Shannon was an electrical engineer at the University of Michigan who took a philosophy course just to fulfill a requirement. And in it, he learned about a near-century-old system of logic by which true and false statements could be coded as ones and zeros and solved like math problems. This led to the development of binary code, which underlies all of our digital computers today. Or finally, my own sort of role model, Frances Hesselbein. This is me with her. She took her first professional job at the age of 54. And went on to become the CEO of the Girl Scouts, which she saved. She tripled minority membership, added 130,000 volunteers, and this is one of the proficiency badges that came out of her tenure. It's binary code for girls learning about computers. Today, Frances runs a leadership institute where she works every weekday in Manhattan, and she's only 104, so who knows what's next. We never really hear developmental stories like this, do we? We don't hear about the research that found that Nobel laureate scientists.
Since I did, this the only way I kick it. Home run, man, I think I'm Ken Griffey. I got the recipe, whip it up in a jiffy. They say I go crazy, but I don't have no prescription. On the outside looking in, I'm not part of the equation. But when I hit the beat, guaranteed to get it shaking. They say no offense, okay, well none taken. This thing right here lasts, cause they can't find no replacement. We started from the bottom, man, I'm talking about the basement. When they try to get you down, just believe in your greatness. This life have moving pieces, we lost in rotation. It's not always handed to you, man, sometimes you gotta chase it for real. They try to stop me all the time, and I'm like, oh well, man, did you see the price? Better catch it on sale. If you go against time, might not go too well. When them haters walk in, always see my coattail. I'm gone, man, I'm gone.
Are 22 times more likely to have a hobby outside of work as our typical scientists. We never hear that. Even when the performers or the work is very famous, we don't hear these developmental stories. For example, here's an athlete I've followed.
They try to stop me all the time, and I'm like, oh well, man, did you see the price? Better catch it on sale. If you go against time, might not go too well. When them haters walk in, always see my coattail. I'm gone, oh man, I'm gone.
Here he is at age 6 wearing a Scottish rugby kit. Now he tried some tennis, some skiing, wrestling. His mother was actually a tennis coach, but she declined to coach him because he wouldn't return balls normally. He did some basketball, table tennis, swimming. When his coaches wanted to move him up a level to play with older boys, he declined because he just wanted to talk about pro wrestling after practice with his friends. And he kept trying more sports. Handball, volleyball, soccer, badminton, skateboarding. So, who is this dabbler?
You face problems from the cradle to the grave. It's not always sunny days, sometimes it's a hurricane. They caught me just in time, they showed up a little late. Let's start from the top, start from a clean slate. They can't stop me with a truck, oh shucks, for peace sake. I make music for survivors, so I know you can relate. I never been to Philly, flow scrumptious like cheesesteak. They count me out, that's a terrible mistake. Got popularity off of everything I ain't. They try standing next to me, but I need a little space. I bumped the table when they plan was in place. I can motivate millions with the talents I display. I'm him, no price tag, can we get a price check? I be having nightmares, wake up to night sweats. When you feel like giving up, oh no, not yet. Cause we fighting for a chance, they reaching for content. We here, man, we here.
This is Roger Federer. Every bit as famous as an adult as Tiger Woods, and yet even tennis enthusiasts.
No price tag, can we get a price check? I be having nightmares, I wake up to night sweats. When you feel like giving up, oh no, not yet. Cause we fighting for a change, they reaching for content. We here, oh man, we here.
Don't usually know anything about his developmental story. Why is that? Even though it's the norm. Well, I think it's partly because the Tiger story is very dramatic, but also because it seems like this tidy narrative that we can extrapolate to anything that we want to be good at in our own lives. But that, I think, is a problem, because it turns out that in many ways, golf is a uniquely horrible model of almost everything that humans want to learn. Golf is the epitome of what the psychologist Robin Hogarth called a kind learning environment. Kind learning environments have next steps and goals that are clear, rules that are clear and never change. When you do something, you get feedback that is quick and accurate. Work next year will look like work last year. Chess, also a kind learning environment. The grandmaster's advantage is largely based on knowledge of recurring patterns, which is also why it's so easy to automate. On the other end of the spectrum are wicked learning environments, where next steps and goals may not be clear. Rules may change. You may or may not get feedback when you do something. It may be delayed, it may be inaccurate, and work next year may not look like work last year. So which one of these sounds like the world we're increasingly living in? In fact, our need to think in an adaptable manner and to keep track of interconnecting parts has fundamentally changed our perception, so that when you look at this diagram, the central circle on the right probably looks larger to you because your brain is drawn to the relationship of the parts in the whole, whereas someone who hasn't been exposed to modern work with its requirement for adaptable conceptual thought will see correctly that the central circles are the same size. So here we are in the wicked work world, and there sometimes hyper-specialization can backfire badly. For example, in research in a dozen countries that matched people for their parents' years of education, their test scores, their own years of education, the difference was some got career-focused education and some got broader general education. The pattern was those who got the career-focused education are more likely to be hired right out of training, more likely to make more money right away, but so much less adaptable in a changing work world that they spend so much less time in the workforce overall